Christmas brought so much joy. Couldn't wait for the presents and laughter. I couldn't sleep late at night, looking for Santa with lights. Those are the memories I still remember. Then I became a man, lost sight of who I am, but right in front of me was the answer. 'Cause on Christmas I feel joy, and I turn back to a boy. The answer is to stay young forever. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song.
Hello, Star Wars fans. You know there's 175 days until Christmas 2024. Hello and welcome to the date of the next Apple. What am I saying? I don't know. Today's my oldest daughter's birthday. It's Shay's birthday today. She is in her 30s. Oh my goodness. I've got a daughter that's in her 30s. That tells you what you need to know about me. Oh, I'm an old dude. But today's Shay's birthday. We're super excited to be going to spend some time. And you know, you guys, if you've ever had a kid, that first child that you've had changes your life forever. We have two, and we love both of them dearly. Oh my goodness, they're both just entirely different. And we had such a great time spending time with them. We love them so much. And our oldest one, when I went from, my wife and I, we were in the U.S. Army. I was in the Army, and we had her. My life changed instantly. It's unbelievable, and you can't even fathom it until it's happened. So happy birthday, Shay. Good that you're here. And today is Acolyte Eve, or day of Acolyte, right? We have the new episode of the Acolyte coming in just a few hours, and it'll be here before we know it. Dale Skywalker's Academy, it says Tenebrous, the Sith, Bith, revealed day. Oh, I don't think so, my friend. We'll get into our predictions in just a little bit, but I think that we're going to have to wait just a minute for that to happen. Real Ben, hello. Another new Star Wars day. Excited. You know, this is one of the most fun things about having a series that releases, in a one episode a week, is we get this kind of anticipation, and we get to speculate, and we get to, come up with some things. Matt Risman, this is fantastic. She better hope her birth date doesn't get retconned like poor Kiadi Mundi. I know. But he aged up about 120 years or something like that, just like that. Right? Like he got another 100, at least 100 years added to his life, just like poof. Something like that. Maybe it was 80. I don't know. But yeah. So and we're going to talk about this too. And I've gone into great detail in kind of trying to outline who this Sith behind the scenes, right? Who's behind the curtain from the Wizard of Oz, right? Who is the great Wizard of Oz, pulling all the strings and putting all the things in motion? And the popular opinion is that it is Darth Plagueis. Because in legends, and at least what we know of him, he is a moon species who can live well over 100 years, lots and lots of years, right? So with that, then people are like, oh, it just makes sense. It could be Plagueis. But Plagueis has a Sith master, right? And the Sith master is Tenebris. And Tenebris is a Bith, at least in Legends. And to Matt's point, birth dates and figuring out ages and stuff like that. I've done a lot of work to try to figure out what could be going on. What's going on? If Hey, there's Nerd Mafia. I'm just going back to catch these. And hello, Ultraman. Good to see you. But if we go back and work backwards on Tenebris's age, and in Legends, this is important stuff. Oh my goodness, you guys, my heart just leapt because I have a friend of mine who I miss dearly. I have not got to talk to her in a long time.
Hello.
Megan, how are you today, my friend?
I'm good. How
I have
are you?
missed you so much.
Likewise.
Oh my goodness. I saw your video today, and we are exactly on topic for what you discussed in, or at least in your thumbnail.
Oh, yes.
Who is going to be our Sith Lord? And the birth date things come into play, don't they? It's like, how old is Tenebris, for example, right? At least in Legends, when you work from the Darth Plagueis novel backwards, he's pretty young at this age. But we already know, like, Ki-Adi-Mundi would have been like not even born at this age, right? I think.
Yeah, for another 39 years.
He certainly wouldn't have been hanging out in the Jedi Temple as a Jedi or a Jedi Master. And I think now that we've done this with Ki-Adi-Mundi, there should be no trouble whatsoever in changing Tenebris's age, right? I mean,
it shouldn't matter, but I know that there's something because before the show came out, this is a little scoop I've not actually spoken about. There was someone who messaged me, and they know someone I know who worked on the crew, and they were like, "Oh, there's a big like Palpatine connection at the end." And I remember thinking that's not possible because he's not born for like 100 years.
Right.
But then it seems to line up with the Fulcrum leaks from 2022 that seem to imply, is there going to be Plagueis? Is there going to be Tenebris? There's something. There's someone.
Yeah, I agree. I've been pushing back against Plagueis maybe being here because Tenebris couldn't be old enough. And I've been harping on this point forever. But now that we've changed birth dates, to Matt Risman's point, right? You can change birth dates. That's not a problem. We can make Tenebris older. No issue. We can make Biths live longer, especially somebody who's messing around with midichlorians trying to master their, manipulation to extend his life. We could have Tenebris significantly older by the time he meets, or by the time Plagueis meets Palpatine later down the line, right?
I really do think if they do make that connection, and there was the vat on Brendok that one of the mothers was looking at.
Yeah.
If this is like a backdoor Plagueis or Tenebris story, I have a feeling fans are going to change their tune very quickly about disliking this show. I've already come around to the idea that if they decide to set up a second season about Tenebris, I can forgive some of the stuff I've criticized.
Meg, I felt really, really bad. And it's been bothering me because I argue with you so much. And I'm like, I should not argue with Meg so much. She's brilliant. And I'm just being a hard-headed old fart. And so I've been thinking about it. And one of the things that I pushed back on you about is I don't care for stories based around bad guys. I just don't, right? If people have hung out here, they know that the Plagueis novel, to me, never really landed. And I've tried. and I've tried desperately to understand where the attraction is in that novel. But something occurred to me last week, and it has to do with the Bane trilogy. And I think I'm starting to understand you better, which helps me understand myself and understand this whole thing around the Acolyte much, much better. Is the Bane trilogy, to me, I don't get the attraction to it. Right? I don't care rooting for bad guys. I look for a good guy to come along and defeat the bad guy. That's what I want. And I like my good guys to be good and not to turn bad and then come back. I don't like any of that. I want my good guys to be good, and I want my bad guys to be bad. And I want the good guys to beat the bad guys. Simple story. I'm a simple man. Some would say I'm a simpleton. But anyway, either way that goes. The Bane trilogy, and this is where I start to, all of a sudden, a light bulb came on to me Friday when I was talking with, why did I just go blank on his name? Rob Sketchcraft. I think the Bane trilogy, not that you were thinking that the Acolyte would be the Bane trilogy, but you would get a story of a Sith that goes through that Sith's story arc, maybe early on through maturation into becoming like a full Sith Lord. Is that at all close?
Very. And I also think Anakin. I always think of Anakin because to me the dark side was never just pure evil. It was almost a path of brokenness that offered solidarity, fake healing for those who had gone through some really bad things in life, like Anakin with his mum and Padme. But I always felt sorry for them, if that makes sense. I think Palpatine's the exception because since he was a kid, he was like pure evil. But I think even the likes of Tenebris and Plagueis have some redeeming qualities. And I was hoping for that journey more than anything else. I know this is unrelated, but I've picked up something about what you just said. Am I right to say you found Luke's story in The Last Jedi very satisfying?
Yes, I did. And I'll build on that just a little bit. I always found Luke's story in the original trilogy just a little bit frustrating. And it's because he promises to Obi-Wan and Yoda that he'll stay there and complete his training no matter what. He makes this commitment and then he breaks it. And I get why he breaks it and all that, but without, going too far down that rabbit hole. But that's one of the things, amongst others, that Luke's story in the original trilogy, I could never buy fully into. And it's one of the reasons I love Rey's story. I absolutely love her story. Like, it's the favorite, I've said this before. She's the favorite Jedi story we've gotten into movies for me. But go ahead. Sorry.
Just because that was Luke literally doing what you said you want a hero to do.
Yeah.
Overcome really tough. I don't know how to describe it, but overcoming his insecurities and his downfalls and the legend of Luke Skywalker to be like, I messed up.
Yeah.
And I felt bad after Ben turned to the dark side. Then he goes to Leia. And then he confronts Kylo indirectly.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that from what you said, I can understand why you like that arc a lot better than a Sith story.
Yeah, I do. And I want to equate this too, because I was really kind of ruminating on the Bane trilogy. One of my complaints, and I voiced this to you and I was being a turd, but one of the things in that Bane trilogy is there was never a Jedi that came up and really pushed, right? Really challenged him. There was no nemesis that was a Jedi that was strong enough, good enough, determined enough, powerful enough to take him on. And he would just wipe them all out. And like he killed so many. And it was there's in that Bane trilogy, there's a couple of Jedi along the way that kind of make their mark, but there's no memorable, at least for me, Jedi out of that trilogy that I was rooting for. Is it different for you? Is there a Jedi in there you were like, they really had a chance? Or because I realize I'm not necessarily the most even keel one.
I think you went into it with a very different mindset. I think when it comes to expanded universe, especially Bane trilogy, but also I think of Labyrinth of Evil, they kind of break the mold of George Lucas's good versus evil in many ways. Because I think a big part of the Bane trilogy was establishing order and scheming. And to me, it goes well with James Luceno's book because it's like, well, how do we regroup? Whenever we fought the Jedi face on, it's not worked for us in recent times.
Yeah.
So I don't really consider it as part of the same kind of power structure that we used to in the Clone Wars and the 6 George Lucas movies.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair. So it was when I started thinking about that Acolyte through a lens of like a Bane trilogy that it really landed for me that this series is not what many people, and I suspect you as well, were hoping for or expecting. And that's one of the issues I go back to Lucasfilm over and over again is the marketing and the buildup for these shows. It can be misleading or at least set them up to fail. And that may be exactly what they did here. Would you agree? Where are you?
In terms of like,
In terms of you were expecting a story of a Sith acolyte or a Sith apprentice, in focusing on that character's progression through the show.
mhm. So
And
okay, so I'm going to meet you halfway because you've done a great job of seeing my perspective. I'll do the same the other way around. I think, if I'm being very honest, I had a very set idea of what this time period should be.
mhm,
I went all in on the Plagueis train. That
mm,
was my hope. So, on one level, I think I would have been disappointed no matter which direction they went. But
I
at the
see.
same time, I do think Leslie Headland has given me a bit of hope when she says the last 3 episodes flipped the script. I was really happy they killed off Yord and Jackie because it tells me, okay, so now we're getting to the real stuff. And even without some big bad in the shadows, I think it's now an opportunity to show us why the show's been structured the way it has. And I know Leslie Headland has said some things and her history, and she may not be the perfect writer for a Star Wars show, but she has done some good work. I've seen Russian Doll, and she can write a story. So I'm hoping there's some redeeming qualities in the final 3 episodes. But my big complaint, to go back to your question, is why make this about twins? Why market this as a Sith show and spend so much time away from the Sith?
Yeah. Yep. I think I know the answer. And it just it goes through some of the interviews that happen leading up and in some of the writing. And one of the things, it goes into her personal story in a conversation that at least was reported, something between her and Kathleen Kennedy. Her and her sister are not necessarily on good terms. They're not necessarily on speaking terms. There's a big gulf between them. And somewhere during the writing process, this went from being about a Sith and being a Sith centered show to being about sisters who perhaps might reconcile. And I personally believe that they will. but we shall see. And I think it became a bit of a story, a love letter, maybe even to her sister, saying, an olive branch, I would like to reconcile with you. We're sisters, and I love you. So I think that's maybe what happened, because there was an interview where she talked about this issue with her sister, and she talked about there was a discussion she had with Kathleen Kennedy. It said, "You've written a good Star Wars show. Now give me a good Leslie Headland show." And I think it changed. But Lucasfilm kind of got the cart ahead of the horse and told us it was going to be about Sith, when it ended up being about sisters.
Well,
Maybe.
if it's about Kathleen Kennedy's sister, did Kathleen Kennedy set fire to the Star Wars brand?
Oh,
I'm joking.
I know you are. I got it right. You're a turd too. See, that's why we
And then
love each other.
Kathy's sister says, "What have you done?" And then at the end of the show, she has an acolyte, Ryan Johnson.
Sort of an offshoot of that, but and then I want to get into some screenshots I took, because I think I know where the story is going. Some of the people who got the press access to go to see the Acolyte, where Kathleen Kennedy and the cast were there, one of the people from that showed a picture of them taking a selfie with Kathleen Kennedy. And they took the selfie and they did the thing. And then once they finished it, she said, I'm not Kathy, right? I'm her sister. And so
That's brilliant.
this content creator who, at least has the attention of Lucasfilm and got a nice invite to come along, and was behind the rope to take the pictures with them, completely screwed that up. And I think it's hilarious. So anyway, I think it's, oh my goodness. So episode, I think we're very clear. Episode 7 is going to be the next flashback episode for sure.
I agree. I just want to touch upon a point you said about the Bane trilogy.
Yeah.
Do you remember when the Jedi confront, what's that person's name? They basically assume the Sith are gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
The name escapes me.
Yeah, he was a Padawan. Wasn't he a Padawan? And he went and was captured or spent some time with Bane, and then escaped. And they get him and interview him. And is that the dude you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. And some of the names and some of the details have escaped me. It's been a minute since I read that trilogy, but yeah.
Was it Ishani?
Could be.
No.
Could be. It was a former Jedi. Right?
I wanted to address something you said. It seems pretty clear, and I know Expanded Universe doesn't count as canon, but it seems to me that unless most people die in the Acolyte, it doesn't really make sense they introduce the Sith as having confronted the Jedi. Do you think concretely that Chimera's a Sith?
Boy, that's a tough question. Concretely, no. Although they've said that he is, and he has said he is, but there's been so much lying by the actors and stuff beforehand that I just don't know at this point. I think most likely, yes, he is a Sith. And especially in, I think, the interview that came out this week, and you covered it to a degree, but in the interview this week, Leslie was talking about the development of Chimere's character that could continue on into a season 2 or 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in that interview, it seemed to solidify. Again, I'm not sure I'd put it in concrete, but at least it's solidifying for me that he probably is a Sith.
I agree.
Yeah.
Do you think it changes our perception of anything in the prequel trilogy? And also, how did Qui-Gon know Maul was a Sith, but Yord looks at Osha and doesn't, and Sol doesn't seem to know?
Well, boy, there's a lot to unpack in that question. You remember Qui-Gon says, hey, this dude that I met back on Tatooine, he's a Sith. And they're like, no, that's impossible. He's not a Sith. You're crazy. Get on out of here. So I think that Qui-Gon was on a different kind of wavelength than all the other Jedi. And we see plenty of evidence of that. Like, he's just operating on a different wavelength. He's not affected as much, or he's not as brainwashed, is that right word to say, by the Jedi Order as many others are. They say there's no Sith, there's no Sith. He's like, I met this dude. I think he might be a Sith. And I think it's just because of Qui-Gon was very special. I don't think it has to do, like, a Yord certainly wasn't special that way. And I think we're yet to find out more about Sol, but I think he's most certainly gonna die, right?
I think you're right. I think Qui-Gon was on a different journey with his philosophy of the Force, and he was more in tune with the will of the Force. So I think Qui-Gon was more open to recognizing things that maybe his colleagues weren't. Do you think we'll see Yoda by the end?
Oh boy. Episode 8, I think anything's possible. Could we see Yoda in the Jedi Temple? Yeah, I think we could. I think if I were to put a chance of it happening, I'd say maybe 20% chance we see Yoda in the temple. What do you think?
I think 85% chance we do.
Oh, I hope you're right.
You know why? Because I think when Leslie said, do you remember when she said, could you imagine if they let us use Yoda? I've got a feeling they did ask some of the higher ups at Lucasfilm, and maybe they allowed her a little cameo at the end where Ki-Adi-Mundi reports back that the Jedi never made it back from Kofar, and then Yoda is just like, oh well, next page. And then
Yeah, go ahead.
They just brush it under, and then it kind of all makes sense.
Yeah.
And then it makes them look worse, which was Leslie Headland's goal.
Well, and Yoda is consistent in that, isn't he? Like, he's always like, it's probably nothing. And it happens over and over again, even during the prequels, in a lot of the cutscenes even. And then you go back to the Clone Wars animated series, and it's just time and time again, Yoda is presented with evidence of the Sith, of Sidious being Palpatine, or, almost given it in black and white. And he's like, nah, I don't think so. Or just swept it under the rug. And it's unclear why Yoda kept doing that, right? I don't know.
I think Rissman brings up a good point. I think I've worked out when Venestra comes in. She comes in this episode 6.
Yes.
Because it's exactly the morning after Chimera lands, after he kills off all the moths, and he finds Osha. It seems like exactly the same setting of that part of Kofar. So I think she's going to show up and unveil her light whip. And I think we'll see another duel between Chimera and Venestra. I don't necessarily buy the fact that Venestra is evil. I don't think she's a Sith. I just think she's dislikable.
Oh, don't get me started, Meg. You want to get, I know it'd make you happy to see me.
I do want to get you started.
I know. I know. I hate so much what they're doing with Vernestra's character in this series. To this point, she has been the low point for me. I've read her character. I'm not saying that her character in the High Republic novels is my favorite at all. I'm not saying that at all. But I've read all of the High Republic novels, very few of the comics, but all of the novels. And Vernestra's character in that seems like an entirely different character than the one we've seen here. And I get where people complain about Luke's character not being the same in the sequels and all that. Because in here, I'm like, this is just a terrible representation of Vernestra Rowe, who she is, what she's gone through to get here. Like, she already took this bearish vow or whatever it is because she was disagreeing with the Jedi Order and not being in tune with the Force during the High Republic. She's like, a bad thing happened because the Jedi Order was, off path. And I think I need to go spend some time meditating alone. And so she goes off for like a year and a half, something like that, and does this meditation thing. And they come and find her. And so she's very much about staying in tune with the Force and not necessarily what's the Jedi Order says. In fact, she even goes to the point of becoming a way seeker, which are these people who are like, you know what? Jedi Order ain't for me. I'm still going to follow the way of the Force. I'm still going to try to follow the will of the Force. But the Order, nah, no thanks. She even does that. And here we get her in the sequel, in the Acolyte, being like, oh, we better protect the Order. We got to, suppress the truth from blah, 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 blah. I'm like, get on out of here with that. Right?
At Celebration in London, there was some incredible Vernestra cosplayers. And then in the Disney Plus show, she just looks like a green knob.
I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm not going to disagree
I don't mean to be harsh, but we've seen Mary Allens in live action. We know what they look like.
Yeah. I think one of the worst choices they made were to make her bald. I don't know. It makes it worse because the body paint or whatever they're putting on her head is more, if that makes sense. And it just makes her look worse. I just not feeling it. Right? It's terrible for me. But anyway, aggressively relaxing. You have perfectly explained my feelings on Roe too. I was wondering if the newest High Republic novel would give us an idea why she's the way she is. And I just finished that novel last week. And no, it's completely inconsistent with the novels. And I don't know how she gets from where she is in the High Republic to where she is in the Acolyte. I'm clueless. It's way too different. Okay, so tonight's episode, some predictions, and I've got some screenshots here to share. So let me share this, and we can talk about them a little bit together, if you don't mind, if you got a little bit of time. I think we're going to see this scene where you see Soul here in this ship. This ship out in the front. It's a little bit of a predecessor. I can see an influence of making it like a TIE fighter, maybe an X-Wing, right? Maybe some sort of combination of both. This ship out in front, we've seen it before. You really have to be paying attention, but it's when you see May go visit the Smiley before we knew that he's Chimera, right? And you can see this ship parked over on the side, like on an outcropping, some rocks. This same ship. So this is the ship that May has been flying around in, and it may be, or that Chimera has been flying around in, one or the other. And we see Soul chasing it here. One of the things, so we're on Brindok. that's the planet that we left, right? And I think Soul already knows that May is not OSHA. Do you agree? Yeah.
I think Leslie Headland even said so. And notice the way Soul says, "Where is she?" And then May goes, "Where's who?" He doesn't say OSHA, he says, "Your sister."
Exactly. Exactly. I covered that last week when I was going through the review of it. And that's exactly it. And he looks very confused. He's looking up at her like, what is your deal? Like something's off. And then he does say, where is she? Right. And she's like, who? Your sister, right? He doesn't say, where's OSHA or where's May, right? Where's your sister? And she's got a big old tattoo on her noggin. It's not like she hid that. In fact, she removed some hair. It would
So
be
I have a
easier.
question for you.
Yeah.
I think the Force Dyad, or whatever OSHA and May are, interested Soul since they were kids. But my question is, why did it interest Kalnaka? Because he has those swirlies all around his face on Kofar.
Yeah. I think we'll maybe get more in that in the next flashback. But Kalnaka, all four of them seem to be permanently affected by what happened. And these symbols are things that he saw on what is it? Brindok? Brindok's the planet where it's the witchy world, right? The covert world.
Wizarding world.
Yeah. The wizarding world of Brindok. Yeah.
I always thought that Jackie was like very similar to Hermione.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, there is some similarity there. So these symbols were all involved with that covert, and the terrible thing happened at the covert. And I think that Kalnaka, just like the others, are permanently affected by it. Whatever that is, we have some idea what it is, but we'll get the full story told eventually. He's constantly just stuck with it, and he keeps drawing these symbols over and over again, maybe trying to come to terms or at least remind himself of what happened. Really good question, though. Really, really good question. Ben asks, I watched one of the Harry Potter movies a couple weeks ago, and I literally said that my best friend, she reminded me of Hermione. So funny you bring that up. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I had not made that connection. So I want to
minds think alike.
Yeah. Very good. So we see, I think that Soul already knows that that's OSHA, and he's bringing her back to the ship because he doesn't want her to run off. And they're going to get on the ship, and there'll be some sort of confrontation or acknowledgement. Okay, you're OSHA. Why are you pretending to be May, or what? Or you're May pretending to be OSHA, whatever. Plus, our tracker dude is coming along with Pip's head to basically say the same thing, right? And so they're going to know that that's OSHA, but they're also going to see Chimere and OSHA leaving in this ship. And then there's a sequence that just pulled from the trailers. I captured some screenshots. There's this one here, and I believe this is Brindok, the witch world, in a moon around Brindok with these rings. I'm pretty sure that that's what that is. And it's hard to tell if I think the rings go around the moon, but maybe the rings go around the planet. I'm not 100% sure. But then there's this chase that goes through these rings, and here's Soul's ship back here. Here's Chimere / May's ship up here that OSHA is on. But then I took this is another screenshot, and it's really hard to kind of see here, but you can see an arm reaching up. there's a ship in front and a helmet. This is a helmet of some sort, right? Looks like almost like a NASA helmet, an Earth space helmet. I'm having a hard time making that out. But if this is, I don't know. I don't know what this is.
It looks like the helmet that OSHA wears for the Neimoidian ship when she's putting out the fire.
Oh yeah, when she's doing the spacewalk. Yeah, could be. Could be. And so this would presumably be May back here in coming up on that other ship. And then you see that
Do you want to know something about this ship?
Yeah.
It looks very Bith-like. The ships that the Bith built.
The one in front, with the
Chimea's one.
Nice.
It could be Tenebris's ship.
You were brilliant. So we get this is Sol back here in May, and this would be Chimere out here in front, and they're crashing now through these rings, and eventually even Chimere's ship gets turned and it starts kind of free falling through these rings as well. And this would be Brindok, the witchy world, right? Underneath. And I think that's where they're headed. And there's some other scenes, and let me skip forward here. I want to just go. If you look here, this is from Disney Plus. This is a Disney thing. And they say Master Sol follows clues to a ruined Brindok. This is Brindok, the witchy world. I think that's what this is back here. They're going there. And then even in the Disney Plus spot here, this could be episode 6 or 8. This is if this is the witch world here, and then this is the spoilery stuff that Jason Ward shared. But it was shared previously, but then Jason posted it on Twitter, and I took it from Jason's post. I think that this world back here is the same one, like the rocks. This is on Brindok, and this would presumably be somebody facing off with Chimere, right? You can see it. There's another scene that I didn't grab where you can see OSHA or May holding this lightsaber back behind Sol, who's approaching Chimere. So I would guess that this is May wearing this, but I'm not sure because there's
because that's the lightsaber she cut her hair with.
Oh yeah, the yellow lightsaber. Ah, good one, Meg. Okay, so then we have this here, picking up the saber that looks very much like Chimere's saber. May not be his, but it looks very much like it, right? But it's laying when she comes up. It's laying on some folded clothes, and she's changed clothes into. If this is OSHA, again, I'm not 100% sure. If this is OSHA and she's picking up this lightsaber that appears very similar to Chimere's, I don't get what's going on. Right? I just don't know. I'm picking up some scenes that haven't been used from the trailer. But what I would guess is tonight we're going to see this chase through space.
Actually, Santa.
Yeah.
That lightsaber isn't it Indara?
Oh, is this Indara's? Oh.
Because May collected it after killing her.
Let's see. Indara,
by the way, is in a lot of episode 7 in a flashback.
Right.
Indara had something to do with Brendok. I always say that with Star Wars shows, the characters in the first episode are always really important somehow later on. And I've just got a feeling
I
Yeah,
don't
it's a
think
bit
it is.
different. No,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it is.
maybe not. But I still think Indara's important.
I agree. There's going to be a discussion between her and Soul, right? Those
Mhm.
have been in the trailers. So I really think that we're going to see the space chase scene through
Why
the.
would Indara? Sorry, I just realized. Why would May just leave Indara's lightsaber on the floor? That seems like a very stupid plot hole.
I don't know if it's a plot hole. She wasn't interested in collecting lightsabers. She was just interested in killing the Jedi.
But would you really leave a Jedi Master's lightsaber on the floor?
If you don't want it, why take it?
Because if you're Sith or adjacent to a Sith, you'd pick it up.
Maybe, maybe. I I think it just showed that she's not interested in collecting. She was single purposed in killing a Jedi without a weapon, right? So it's like, yeah, why wouldn't she want the crystal? Why wouldn't she want the souvenir?
Because the Sith also bled lightsabers.
Well, it goes back. I have another theory. I want to get to the theory with you as well. Chimera killed the original apothecary owner. Oh, Chimera? The original apothecary owner. That's right. Where they say that's not the regular dude, and it's Chimera instead. So he killed him. Nobody reported him missing. Not sure that person plays into the plot. Just thinking about how another potential murder may have occurred during this. I'm sure another murder did, and that it will be reported to the local establishments, but not part of this story per se. I have another theory about how this will all wrap up. And we'll get to it just a second. But I want to say, I think tonight we're going to get the space chase. We're going to hit the rings. We're going to free fall or whatever onto Brindok. I'm going to come back to this in a second too. And whatever happens on Brindok, I think this may be in tonight's episode or it may be in 7. Not really clear about even what this is. But we may see this confrontation start tonight on Brindok, where Soul and May confront Chimera and potentially Osha. Osha doesn't show up in these stills or in the videos that were posted, so I'm not really clear on all of that. But
So I
I
have a
think,
question about this,
yeah,
though.
yeah.
Me and Rissman were talking about how Leslie said there's an infiltration of the Jedi. And I wonder if Sol was originally one of Tenebris, or whoever it is, one of their acolytes, their apprentices. And that's why Chimera says, "What did you do with your darkness?" And maybe
Yeah,
Sol infiltrated the Jedi, and maybe Sol dying and that failing is the reason whoever the master is decides then the way that we're going to get the Sith to rule the galaxy is not through the Jedi, but through the Republic and through the Senate. And that is the incentive to use Palpatine.
yeah, maybe. I'm I Risman and I have also chatted extensively about this comment, right? And that Leslie said she was interested in telling a story about how the Sith infiltrated the Jedi Order or the Republic. And I'm like, okay, so who's infiltrated? At this point, we don't see anybody who is infiltrated. Who would that be? Would it be Soul? And are we picking up just on the vibe that he's hiding something and that this vibe is coming across nefariously? Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I don't know. I think it might be a bigger surprise than that. I also, well, Kay says Vern. I'm not sure if it's Vern either, Vernestra. It just
I would
doesn't.
really upset High Republic fans.
Oh, I would be mad. I mean, genuinely angry. plus what they've already put into this show and some of her poorly delivered lines. Yeah, I would be angry. I'd be very angry. However, it could be somebody else that it just like in the wings that is there. What if it's Kiadi Mundi?
I agree
No.
with Ben. I agree with Ben. Saul's first line was not to trust your eyes.
Yeah.
Your eyes can deceive you.
Yeah.
Maybe because that was like, you know, in the trailers, him telling us, I'm the Sith and I fooled all of you.
It could be. I'm not
I don't think he's
discounting
Sith. I don't think he's Sith. I think he's evil in some way, but I don't think he's Sith. He may have
Well,
been Sith.
Well, he certainly has been hiding some truth. And his full motivations and the full story of that has yet to reveal itself. But I find it interesting that they're going back to Brendok, Witchy World. I think in tonight's episodes where they're going to land there. And I don't know. So one of the questions I put on my predictions every week is, does a Jedi or more, one or more Jedi get killed? I don't necessarily think he'll die tonight. Like, otherwise the flashback next week kind of doesn't really fit well for me. Maybe I haven't seen it, so I don't know. Maybe it works, but my guess would be no Jedi dies tonight, and that they're going to confront him on Brendok, and he'll be like, why don't you tell him the truth of what really happened here with all this devastation around us, right? What really happened here? And here's my prediction for the end of the series is that May and Osha eventually reunite and they restart the coven there on Brendok. That's my guess. And so the Jedi leave, like there's no follow-up. They start their order, and whatever season 2 or 3 or 4 may go into would follow that further. But my guess is at the end of the whole thing that Soul will be dead. Chimere will go back into the shadows somewhere, and we'll see the reveal of likely Plagueis. I think David Harewood's probably playing Plagueis, but I'm not sure. We'll have to see.
I don't know about the Brendok thing, but maybe something comes out of the laboratory. The big metal fat in the middle.
Yeah, let me read this.
Could you imagine they get to Brendok and they fight and it's all coming to a big conclusion, and then you hear a slow clap from someone in the background, and then it's like Mother Coral 2.0.
Oh, I'm glad you brought up Mother Coral, because I do think that she is involved. I think Mother
Because here's
Coral.
the thing, maybe I'm giving them too much credit, but the fact they got 5 seconds of an episode to have Mother Coral stand up, go to that metal thing, stare at it, and walk away, it's got to mean something.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I'm so, at this point, I'm not sure. I want to bring this up too, just to throw it in there. I do think Vernestra is going back to Kofar, where the big fight was, and we had the Jedi shish kebab, and and everybody died. I think we're going back to Kofar, and Vernestra and at least another Jedi, whoever this dude is over here, are going there. You can see where they were drug across the ground at Kelnaka's place. There, she's just cutting her way through the jungle with her light whip, which she did in the High Republic too. She used her light whip to cut through the jungle. So I think that's what's going on here. She's working her way through, and they're going to figure out what happened. Where did all these Jedi go? She may or may not have felt something in the Force when all these Jedi were killed, and that's why she's coming, like to investigate. I think this is an investigation. Vernestra is coming there to investigate what happened. That's my guess. So we'll be on part of the show will be on Kofar, as Vernestra goes to investigate. I think the other part of the show may be on Bryndock, where the space chase leads them to, and Chimere is able to confront Soul and say, "Why don't you tell the girls what happened here?" And that'll lead us to episode 7 with the flashback.
The picture of Osha holding the lightsaber, I think, is on Octo.
Well, that's a good point too. Like, is this Octo? And where does it fit into the story? Is it a flashback? Could be a flashback. And
Okay, so can I just reply to Ben?
Yeah.
He says Tenebrous feels too much of a deep cut. I really disagree, because they go 2 routes with it. It's Plagueis or Tenebrous, or it's a brand new Sith. But the fact it's been marketed as like the Sith before the Phantom Menace, I think enough of the fandom has an awareness of those characters that even if you don't and you're a casual fan, it still works. It's still intriguing for another season. If you have no clue who Tenebrous is and he appears, it's like, that's still quite an awesome reveal.
Yeah, I'll say it could confuse just the normie there. Be like, why is the band guy there? Like, the only time you've ever seen.
That's why they got to make him look different.
Yeah, exactly.
And by the way, Nerd Mafia, the reason they know about Octo comes from the Last Jedi novelization. There were many different Force cults who used Octo almost to insult the Jedi's history. And
one of them, it even says one of the groups that came there were very dark. Like, not all of them were very light, I speculated when I first saw this, is it was when Osha was leaving the Jedi Order. Why did she leave the Jedi Order? And I think, well, at least I thought, and I'm just spitballing this, like this just my noggin trying to work it out, is Osha when she was leaving the Jedi Order. These are her Jedi robes. She left the Order. She may be on Octo, to your point. And these are her robes. And you can see the boots off to the side too. But I think this is her Jedi outfit. She's got them folded up. She's leaving them. And she's picking up her lightsaber one last time, take a look at it. She's going to set it back down and leave. It's my guess. I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong. But I'm just trying to place, like, what is this? What's going on? In there's a line from an earlier episode when she tells Yord, hey, if it comes down to it, kill my sister. I can't hesitate like I did before her last time. Well, what was that? And why did she leave the Order? And that could be involved in a flashback to her story, why she left. That could be tonight, actually. It may not be next week. And next week, I think, is for sure the flashback to Bryndock, what happened. We'll get some truth there. And tonight is certainly the space chase going back to Bryndock. Skywalker's Academy asks, why would they go back to Kofar in the last episode? I don't think they will in the last episode. I think it's tonight, episode 6. They'll go back to Kofar. There's an investigation going on. And I think the whole series may wrap up on, why would it go back to Kofar? Yeah, we'll end up on Bryndock. I think that's where the whole series will end up. And we may get a bit of like a tag scene at the end, either a post-credit or something, where the reveal of Tenebrous or Plagueis, or maybe even both, are given to us. We'll have to see. But I do expect that Dave Harewood is going to play one of those two. If you were to put your odds on it, which is David playing? I should have put this in a poll. Oh, I should do that. Let me see if I can put this in a poll for you all.
I do hate to say this, but could you imagine if they do what they did with Chris Lloyd? We all assumed he was going to be Bo-Katan's father, and then he ends up being the security guy on the Lizzo planet.
True. Even playing.
He'll probably be like a senator or something.
Yeah, just some random dude on the street. Oh, sorry, sir. He's like, oh, no worries. And just walks on by. Tenebrous.
There are lots of signs that it's Tenebrous. There's the ship, but there's also the cortosis. It's not mentioned, I think, beyond chapter 1 of the Plagueis novel, but it is something that Tenebrous mined with Plagueis and his droid. I can't remember the droid's name.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up too, because that's been. I put it in the poll. Pick one. Who is David playing? He's playing Tenebrous, Plagueis, or some random character. What do you guys think? But in the beginning of the Plagueis novel, they are on a planet where they're like mining, and that the environment, at least where cortosis is mined from, is always very explosive. It causes a massive quake and mass destruction, in which then Plagueis takes the opportunity to kill Tenebrous. Right? Spoilers. Guess what? Tenebrous dies. Plagueis kills him. But it all happens around that. Also,
and then Tenebrous is somehow able to come out with a speech congratulating Plagueis upon his death. He's very well spoken for a guy who's just been collapsed under rocks.
Yeah, collapsed under rocks. Yeah. Also, in the Thrawn novels, there's cortosis in there too, in the new ones. And there's a cortosis mine. And Anakin goes to like collapse a mine, but he ends up basically destroying the entire planet because he places some explosives in these mines to collapse them. And the aftershock, the depths of the repercussions of it, like it just expands and it grows. It basically destroys the entire planet where this cortosis mine was. So where cortosis is, A, is cortosis is rare. B, it's quite a volatile mining situation.
Could you imagine if the show ends with the opening prologue of the book?
Oh, could you imagine? What if we're in a mine and Tenebrous and Plagueis are down there mining cortosis? And it could just end at that. Right there, you don't have to get to the explosion, anything else. They're just in a mine mining cortosis.
And also,
yeah, go ahead.
Just to answer Ben, who says, how do we feel if we just get his civilian name revealed? I wouldn't care. Just, you can have even the little beaver sniffer, Paul Turner phrase, what's his name, Basil. You could even have Basil be like, Rugus Gnome, and then the show ends and I'd be happy.
Hold on.
Beaver sniffing.
You broke me. Sorry. Now it's hot in here again. Whew.
I apologize.
No, you don't. You whew, I'm hot. Good gracious, Nick. Oh, you kill me. You kill me. Yeah, so I think I don't know what I think now. I'm broke.
Okay, so this is something I wanted to mention. On page 2 of Darth Plagueis, there's a line that makes me think this show was deliberately building up to it. It kind of implies that Tenebrous and Plagueis have been trying to unlock the key to immortality for some time. And it's not a new project. it says, had they unlocked the key to immortality after all this time? And I'm thinking, do you think they owned and controlled the witch coven?
Oh, so that's a very good. So that theory has been coming up that there are some hooded figures, one specifically, but I think there's several. On the last cut of it I saw, there are several who are kind of hanging out the other side of the witches. So the witches are there doing their little ceremony. They've got the girls. They're going to induct them into the coven. You can see them all out there. They've got their hands outstretched and all that kind of nonsense. And then on the other side, there are some hooded figures. You can't see hardly anything.
Mm-hmm.
Are these Sith?
I think so. It can't be Chimera. I think Chimera was too young.
I agree. That was the other thing I was going to ask, is because some people have been saying, well, Chimera was one of the ones there. And I don't think that was, I don't think that it was. He was be too young. However, it could be Tenebris and Plagueis back there.
That'd be amazing.
And were they somehow involved with this creating life of Osha and May? And we still don't know what the whole wait for it. Watch Discord in the Not Santa Safe, or in the Meg also has a Not Safe channel. Watch for it coming soon. Baymax will be creating. They could be absolutely be Sith. And again, I think all of the trailer stuff, that like all these scenes that I've clipped and I've shared today, I think all of those are going to play out this week, next week. And then episode 8, we don't know a thing that's going to happen there, right?
Yeah. I wonder if I type in beaver sniffer into Google, it'll be innocent. Oh my, no, it is not. It's got that blur option, where you have to manually. Anyway. There was a random BuzzFeed article about hygiene, but anyway.
It took me forever to get off of that. You bring it back. Oh, Megan.
I thought it'd be educational, but it's not.
Certainly is not. So 50% of the people think that it's Tenebris, that David would be portraying Tenebris. And then the rest of it is there as well. All right. So my predictions for tonight. You got time to go through this with me?
I do.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you want to know the Urban Dictionary definition of beaver sniffer?
Not the Urban Dictionary. Certainly not.
To inhale a furry hoo-ha, for lack of a better term, that may or may not attend Oregon State. A buck-toothed rodent that may or may not attend Oregon. Why are they obsessed with Oregon State?
Because the Oregon State Beavers.
Oh. Why would that body part attend an Oregon State?
It's actually not. It's regarding the rodent that build dams in water bodies, in bodies of water. And there's a strong economic foundation of beaver pelt trading that goes back into the establishment of many places across North America. So tonight, Meg's booking a flight to Oregon right now. Round trip, London to Oregon. Tonight.
Example 1, show us your beaver.
Do you think a Jedi dies in tonight's episode?
No.
We visit more than one world. I think most certainly. Are we going to refer to Pip by name?
No.
Yeah. More than one lightsaber color? Most certainly. And red doesn't count. Excludes red.
Yes.
But I still think yes. We'll have yellow and green, I think. A new Jedi we've never seen before in live action. Now, this is tricky because there's that scene of Vernestra and that other Jedi dude. Like, if he's just some background character, we don't know who that would be. Baymax, no, I don't. I've been reading the chat. I'm trying to move on. But it says right here, to meet means a character is introduced, somebody by name, speaks a line, or is featured as a primary character in a scene. Background characters amongst another group do not count. And it's only the first time we meet them. So are we going to meet that guy? Are we going to know who this guy here is? Is she going to say, hey, Jedi Mark, could you go over there and see if Kelnaka is hiding out? Take a peek in the window. Right? I don't know if she'll say anything to this dude. So I'm going to guess yes, because I think she is going to say something to him, but we'll see. Someone's killed a non-Jedi.
Picture, Santa.
No.
That's definition number 2. It looks
Megan.
even more aggressive when it's highlighted in blue.
It does. It does. So someone uses Jedi slang. Is anybody going to say, may the force be with you tonight?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Someone will use the force in an observable manner, like a force push or something like that. I'm gonna say yes. And there's a reference to a named Sith. I don't think so. I think only in like the last episode, the season finale. Would you agree?
I do.
You're like, what's the question? I'm still reading about the sniffer.
Very educational.
Sure it is. I'm sure that it is. Robert, what was boring? Those holes in the tree trunks on the planet. Maybe that's what she's pulling the saber whip out for. Oh, those big slugs that hang onto a tree and then carry off Sith when you need them to. Could be that. Could be that. Let's see. I would argue in Star Wars, any background character has the potential to be extremely important. If any of these characters get a comic book in the next 30 years, I'm coming for my point. Santa, you could be a deep red acolyte. Wouldn't need to face paint. Now, I know. I almost said another thing that I shouldn't say, and I won't. So, no name Sith. A droid or species speaks in another language with subtitles. I'll say no. And my guess for tonight is I'm going to put Space Chase. Space Chase. Yeah, that's good enough. You guys know what I mean. The Space Chase. I think that's tonight. So there's my predictions. For anybody playing along with the predictions game, there's that. What is tonight? Oh my goodness.
I would feel very represented if that's what it was called. And next week, Leslie will say the same. Wrote the episode based on something I'm passionate about and I love. And what's more beautiful in life than that?
Whew. Meg, once again, you've broken my channel. I'll never forget the first time you did it.
Me neither. It was the Bad Batch.
It was.
Stephen does bring up a good point. Do you remember that rumor that we're going to see holocrons of Sith?
Oh, what if he has holocrons in his bag he was carrying stuff in? Episode 8 really does give us a lot of opportunity, doesn't it?
I think so.
I have a lot of explaining. I'll tell you what, you guys. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right, Meg, other predictions for tonight's episode? Do you have any?
I think you're spot on. I think it'll be the chase. I think Vanestra will arrive.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Well, I'm dying here. I've got to read Mike Porter's what is this? Ben says if it has a reference to beaver, I'll donate $10 next time Meg's on. We have a Mike Porter dad joke. It says, what body type do you identify with after eating at an all-you-can-eat buffet? This is a pretty easy one, I think.
I can't think of it.
Well, a Jabba the Hutt. The body type of Hutt, which I've been working on now for several decades. I've almost got it. Oh my goodness.
Hut. Like a house.
Well, like a giant fat slug. That'd be me. I'm pretty close. Pretty close.
No, I get that, but I thought they meant like there's a deeper joke than just Jabba the Hutt.
I don't think
it was like a house. They literally mean a hut, like a slug. Like a
oh no,
space slug.
yeah, like this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Because I was thinking Pizza Hut.
Right. Yes, Basil is on the ship. KG, you're right. There's another thing that I've heard of that I haven't seen anybody talk too much about. I saw it in a breakdown somebody did. I think it was Screen Crush. That if you look at Soul when he's fighting Chimere, he has different shoes on than he does when he's walking on his ship at the end of the episode. He quickly gets on the ship and changes boots. Have you seen that?
No.
Let's see if we can find it real quick.
Is it important? Like
It's not. It's
no.
one of these kind of Easter eggy kind of things people find and then say, oh, I caught a plot device, whatever. Caught a plot hole. He changed boots. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. All right, Meg, that's it for today. I can't thank you enough. I've missed you dearly. I've missed you so much.
Likewise. Same.
And you've broken me once again. Congratulations. I'll never be the same. I'm just all right. Any parting words? Anything to say?
I do. I've just a very quick quote.
Okay.
It's the wisdom of Michael Scott from The Office. It's don't ever, for any reason, under any circumstances, for any reason ever, do anything to anyone or anywhere or any place ever.
Nice.
It was a joke. It doesn't have a point.
I'm like, don't do anything. I missed something, but I get it. I've not watched The Office. My daughter Kayla would be dying on that because she knows.
I was going to say you had to be there. Keep sniffering and beavering.
All right. Well, all of you, thanks so much. I can't wait for tonight's episode, and Meg, for your breakdown tomorrow. And we'll come back tomorrow, and I'll do a breakdown review of it, and we'll go through prediction scores. So anybody wants to do their predictions, I've posted the link to the predictions form on Twitter, Facebook, Discord, YouTube, and Patreon. So you can find it there, as well as in the description of this video right here. So if you can't find the link, you can find it here. And also, I haven't seen anybody do it in the chat today. If you put exclamation point, chosen pun in the chat, it will tell you who the chosen pun is. Of course, you know, people here know who that is, but it's of course Mike Porter. And there it is. Quentin is doing it for us. You put chosen pun in there, and Streamlabs will tell you it's Mike Porter and give you the link to his Twitter where you can get his dad jokes. So y'all, thanks for being here, and we're gonna call it there. Meg, you're welcome to stick around and visit for a second. You got to go, you can do that too. But we will.
I do have to start, but thank you.
Thanks so much. Have a wonderful evening. Get some rest before you have to get up early in the morning. That's been a beautiful thing about the Acolyte, is it's on a decent time for us. Not so decent for you.
No, 2 a.m.
Yeah, that's no good. That's no good. All right, you guys, have a wonderful day. Megan, have a wonderful evening. Get some rest, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks.
Take care. And to all of you, thanks for being here. And until next time, my friends, Merry Christmas, and may the force be with you always. Bye-bye.